Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Newt Grundy, and I'm here to say the spice is nice because the spice has might. Pauper mono red equipment just got another huge power boost from Baldur's Gate. One of the format's most slept on archetypes has been tearing through tier decks, and I'm here to show you my own personal list. So come with me, arm yourselves, and let's get ready for turn 4 victory. Let's go. All right, now before we discuss the equipment, let's take a look at our creatures. What weapon meisters do we have available to us in Pauper, because we have some pretty powerful ones. So first we have Goblin Gaveler, a 1/1 for 1 red mana with trample that gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. So this is our ideal turn 1 play. It will get out of control very quickly, and the trample guarantees that we're not going to have any issue getting through damage. And then we have 4 copies of Champion of the Flame, very similar to the Goblin, except that it costs 1 more mana, with the upside that it pumps its toughness as well, meaning it's not going to be nearly as volatile. Then we have a full playset of Grim Initiate, a 1/1 zombie for 1 red mana with first strike, and when it dies, you amass 1. Essentially, this means that it replaces itself with a 1/1 zombie army token. This is sort of our backup win condition, and while it doesn't get nearly as big as our first 2 creatures, it does fare better against opponents using a lot of removal. Then we have 2 copies of Simian Sling, new from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. This is a 1/1 equipment monkey for 1 red mana. It has Reconfigure 2. Essentially, this comes out as an artifact creature, but it can be attached and used as an equipment or unattached for 2 mana. And when Simian Sling or the equipped creature becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to defending player. So the versatility of Simian Sling, being able to switch between creature and equipment, is incredibly useful for our type of deck, especially because we really want to focus in on Goblin Gaveler and Champion of the Flame. But if we don't have one of those creatures, then this can be our win condition in a pinch. It's also nice that it even grants a little bit of reach too, with being able to deal direct damage. And now, lastly, for our creatures, we have 2 copies of Crimson Fleet Commodore, a 5/2 with trample for 4 mana, and when it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. And if you're not familiar, the Monarch is a very dominant, very important mechanic in Pauper, and so the Crimson Fleet Commodore basically is for those games that go long where we need to refill our hand, or if we need to compete for the Monarch. Not even in the sense that we need the card advantage, but that we need to steal the Monarch from our opponent, preventing them from drawing into the removal spells that they need to survive. Now, moving on to our equipment, we have 4 copies of Leather Armor. This is a 1 mana equipment that equips for free, but only once each turn, and it gives the creature +0/+1 and Ward 1. Ward 1 being if our opponent tries to target it, they're going to have to pay a mana tax of 1. And then we have 4 copies of Utility Knife. This costs 1 mana of any color. When it enters the battlefield, you can attach it to target creature you control for free, and it gives the equipped creature +1/+1. Now, here's where we start to arrive in Spicy Town. We have a full playset of Dueling Rapier, an equipment that costs 1 red. It has flash, meaning we can cast it pretty much at any time. And when it enters the battlefield, you can attach the target creature control, gives the creature +2/+0. This is a lot for a common. And now, brand new from Baldur's Gate, we have 4 copies of Javelin of Lightning. Very similar to the Dueling Rapier. It has flash, it attaches right away, but it also gives first strike. First strike is just guaranteeing that it's going to be bad blocks for our opponent if they can manage to block. And so Dueling Rapier and Javelin of Lightning is definitely what pushes this deck into the realm of viable. Having flash and attaching right away just gives us so much flexibility and versatility with our spells, and allows us to play around counter spells and removal so much better. Now, moving on to non-artifact, non-creature spells, we have 4 copies of Galvanic Blast. Pretty ridiculous staple of the format, 4 damage to anything for 1 red mana, instant speed. And then we have 4 copies of Reckless Impulse, a 2 mana sorcery that exiles the top 2 cards of our library, and we can play those cards to the end of our next turn. This is just raw card advantage for red. We do lose a little bit of the surprise factor, but we more than make up for it with just how gassed this thing is. Now, mana base, very simple, 16 mountains, 4 Great Furnace to add to our Metalcraft count. Lastly, for our sideboard, we have 2 copies of Electrickery, our go-to sweeper for elves, fairies, and the like. 3 copies of Apostle's Blessing. We are very much an all eggs in one basket type of deck, and we really need this added protection against control decks. And 4 copies of Red Elemental Blast so we can actually resolve some of our spells against blue decks. Then we have 2 copies of Relic of Progenitus for Hating on the Grave. 2 copies of Sylvac Lifestaff for fellow aggro decks and for burn, And lastly, 2 copies of Flaring Pain, one of my favorite cards in Pauper. So satisfying to bust out this bad boy against Turbo Fog and Prismatic Strands. And that is mono red equipment for Pauper. Such a blast to play. I hope you try it out. Please make sure to like and subscribe. My channel is very new and it would help me out so much. If you want to watch me kick some serious butt with this deck on MTGO, I have a video in the description. And if you want to watch me play Pauper live, you can come hang out at my Twitch at twitch.tv/newgrundy, and we can talk about the new Obi-Wan show. So yeah, have fun, and I'll see you next time.